The rule change to make F1 fairer in 2023. Today, we are trying to make Formula One better. We always try and make Formula One better, and we think we know better than everyone else. We don't. We really don't. Thank you for listening to our washed opinions once again. Tommy, today we are going to talk about the point system and how perhaps there's a few tweaks that need to be made.
Look, we need Yuki Tsunoda higher in the championship, so we need to change the points.
What we have kind of suggested and put to you on the YouTube community was, is it about time F1 put points down to 15th? We asked you that question, and 62% of you said no. So
we're washed.
Really glad we've got our ear to the ground as Formula One fans. But perhaps it was a very specific question you asked, Tom Bellingham. Maybe it was just, do the point system need to be adjusted for it to be maybe increase that percentage? Because there are some people, Ronak Jain, for example, who said not 15th, but something like 12th would make it competitive. Seems like a sweet spot. And then we've also got TK, who said, right now, finishing between 11th and 20th makes little to no difference. Overall, that means that towards the end of the race, everyone from 13th onwards starts to hold back. So I feel like there's something here, Tommy. Do you think the top 15 is the one?
I like the top 15, but I can see why people think maybe 12th. I do think they need to extend it to a point because the bulletproof reliability we've seen. I remember looking at how many times in F1 history the entire grid has finished, and it was barely like 2 or 3 before about 2022, and then now it seems to be quite regular. When you actually have these points on offer, particularly with how like you've got this kind of tier system at the moment with a top 4 teams, if you like, there's not many points to play for. A little change needs to happen, whether that's to 12th or 15th. I personally would like to see points to 15th.
Now let's kind of break this down then to pros and cons. It's probably the easiest way. But let's start with the pros, and this is for down to 15th. Or, let's say just extending the point system. It rewards more drivers, so the battles are worth more. Now, I've seen some people going, well, actually, it wouldn't really change anything, and why should we give out participation trophies to drivers and whatnot? I don't quite understand the argument of it being a participation trophy, because I think one of the awesome things around the lower teams battling is that occasionally they might score a point and it's a massive deal for them. But the problem with which we now face in 2023 Formula One of the top 4 teams now locking out the top 8 positions most of the time, and also reliability, means that there aren't these moments to really grasp onto. So if you have it down to the top 15, it means these battles that you see for 13th, 14th, 15th, rather than going, who cares?
What's the point?
They might go side by side, or they might risk it, just for a bit of banter, but there's never anything on the line. Whereas if you have a point or two which could change the whole complexity of the championship, then I'm absolutely here for it. I don't really see it as a participation trophy.
No, it actually means something to have these battles where, if you're an Alpha Tauri or an Alfa Romeo, you're not going to get points on the regular. It's going to be really hard to break into that top 10 when the top 8 are already locked. And with reliability, that's no points on offer. I don't understand why it's a bad thing that these teams at the bottom have something to fight for, because I personally think that the championship and the Constructors' Championship should be decided based on how well you're doing, rather than just having... And there will be fluke results, naturally, in Formula One, even if you did to 15th, because you have the odd crazy race and you get loads of points. But it shouldn't be a case where, you can get 6 points in a race and then you're like locked in for the rest of the season, because you know that Alfa Romeo or Haas or whatever aren't going to get that amount of points. People like Zhou Guanyu, Yuki Tsunoda, De Vries, these people fighting at the back, a 12th place finish for them is just as good as a Ferrari finishing 3rd, 4th, whatever. So that's their achievement. And then also you get to the end of the season and you can see how well people have done. It's a better representation of it. And you can see who the better drivers are as well.
Yeah, why shouldn't we reward a really good 12th, 13th, 14th drive if that's all the car can actually do. If a Williams, if an Albon scores a 14th or a 13th, why shouldn't that be rewarded? I don't see too many drawbacks with extending the point system. The top doesn't get changed.
You should have something to fight for, because that's going to be more and more common now.
And it doesn't reward everyone either. It's top 15. There's still 5 places that don't score. And I think that is a key thing here. We weren't necessarily calling for this last year, the year before, when there's a top 3 teams or a top 2 teams, because there is that element of it can change. I guess the con or the question that could be asked here is, would this just be a knee-jerk reaction to the fact there are top 4 teams? And when we get to the new regulation changes, maybe we only have a top 2 teams and everyone else is fighting out for 5th and below.
But then there's still loads of points on offer, and it keeps loads of people there to fight things. So I don't see many cons with it personally, because you just get more racing. I think we've not really gone into the cons, but the only con that we could really think of was a lot of people replying to your tweet about it, saying points for 15th, or our YouTube community post is saying that points should be earned and it should be this amazing thing. But I don't know, is it that exciting when Williams don't score a point all season and then get 1? I don't know. I'd much rather Williams be rewarded for the races where Albon puts that car where it shouldn't be and has something to show for it. I think that's more interesting than just never scoring a point and then, they've got a point. Isn't that amazing? But it's kind of not really.
I mean, on the flip side, we love a disagreement. I would say that, for example, when George Russell scored his first points, and you can see that he was crying. It was such a massive moment for not just him, but also I'd say the Formula One community. We were so invested in the fact that he just was never scoring points, and he kept falling short, and then eventually did, and had these amazing results that came out of nowhere. I guess we wouldn't have had that if we had points down to 15, and that in itself, points. The argument is points should be difficult to earn. Points should be a big thing. But is that just because it's ingrained in us? Is that just because it's always been that way, and therefore points should always be a difficult thing to earn? You won't get those, oh my God, he scored a point finally. He got lucky and everyone retired and he got top 10. You won't get that, but you'll have much more sort of, this is a good fight for 12th, and this is
things to watch.
And this is something that could change the championship for 8th place in the Constructors or 9th place in the Constructors, because they are fighting for points.
And also, how much more racing is there at the back, because they're a lot closer than the big money teams at the front. In the races, you don't really care, or they don't really show them if it is a battle for 13th. It doesn't seem as exciting because there's no points on offer, whereas if there was, someone's going to defend a lot harder for that position, because it could be, it could change the whole Constructors' Championship.
Now, I'm fascinated to hear what you think. So whether you're listening on audio, just send it in via social media, or if you're on YouTube, pause the video, type us what your ideal format for the points would be, because I think that there won't be one right answer, and I think there are plenty of different variants that we could go down. So I'm fascinated to hear what you think, and I'm sure, to be fair, you've already typed that we're washed, and this is we should stick with top 10, or maybe we should have the top 3 scoring points. Who knows? Now, another con was around more teams being able to nick fastest lap point at the end by pitting. Was that something you saw, Tommy, that people saying? Or
I just thought that maybe some people would be like, but then it gives a chance for someone in 15th to take the point away. More people can get a fastest lap point. I still can't make my mind up whether I'd like it or not, personally.
I like it. I think it's slot into Formula One quite nicely. It adds that extra small dose of drama. Okay, let's now move to what the championship will look like if we had this new top 15.
This is with MotoGP point system. The sprint race is exactly the same, and 1 point for fastest lap.
By no surprise, Max Verstappen is still leading the championship by 51 points. Perez is second. Alonso's on 105. Then you've got Hamilton on 98. But then, as you move slowly further down, Yuki Tsunoda
the absolute
has gone
goat.
from 16th in the championship to 11th with 32 points. And that's where he belongs. He has had
he's been
decent
consistent,
drives.
right?
He would have scored in Bahrain, Saudi, Australia, Azerbaijan, Miami, Monaco, and Spain.
Now, the entire championship table is almost identical. You've just got Gasly and Ocon swap a position, but there'd be 1 point separating them, so really close. But yeah, Tsunoda leaps right up the order, and someone that leaps right down the order is Nico Hülkenberg, who goes from 12th to 17th. And that is because Hülkenberg, in the current table, popped in a P7 and then hasn't been particularly great in any of the other races. He'd go way down the order because he's not been consistent. So it rewards, I guess the argument is it rewards consistency.
Also, as well, want a big shout out to Valtteri Bottas, who I assumed was going to get shafted by this, but no, 14th in the championship and 14th again in this new one. Norris as well, I thought may have got shafted a bit. He goes down 1 from 11th in the actual real table to 12th in this one.
But interestingly, Piastri's only 1 point behind him. Look, it's an interesting table. You know, maybe we do this again at the end of the year. I've got the table now to know how it works, because the longer it goes into the season, the more difference I think we'll get.
But yeah, that is pretty much it, I think, in terms of chatting about this new potential point system, which is absolutely never going to happen. But we thought we'd throw it into the universe and see what people thought of it. Have you changed your mind after listening to our washed opinions? Or are you unsubscribing right now? Please don't. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There are many of you that watch these videos and haven't subscribed. So please click that beautiful subscribe button. Okay, well, that is it. Thank you so much. Let us know your opinions, and we'll see you very soon for another piece of content. Bye!
Bye!